You ever walk into a place thinking you know what the day's going to bring, and life just slaps you upside the head with something you never saw coming? Yeah, that was the morning in Fayette County Courthouse, the kind of old building where the air smells like memories and dust, and sunlight cuts through those high arched windows like it's searching for something you lost years ago. It was quiet in there. That heavy, respectful hush people get when they're waiting for a story to end, not realizing a whole new chapter's about to begin. In the last row, sitting so still you'd think she was part of the furniture, was Clara Jenkins. 58 years old, hands folded in her lap, skin the color of rich earth against the pale wood, dressed like she had nothing to prove to anyone, just a simple blouse, a cardigan, that same gray skirt she probably wore to church and funerals, and nothing flashy but a faded gold ring and a dead watch that still kept her on time for all the things that mattered. She hadn't checked her phone, hadn't spoken, but she never took her eyes off the defendant. Not once. At that table sat Mason Whitaker, 28, all angles and nerves, hair cropped close, and posture like he'd gotten used to taking up as little space as possible, like the world might forget about him if he stayed quiet enough. His clothes didn't quite fit, and his face looked both too young and too tired, a man caught somewhere between his own bad choices and the chance that maybe, just maybe, he could still be someone new. He never looked at Clara, but she watched him like only someone who's known you at your worst could. She saw the twitch in his fingers, the way his gaze dodged the bailiff, the way he ignored the whole row behind him, like he was afraid to admit anyone might be there for him at all. Judge Arland Rowe, old school and stern as stone, adjusted his glasses and spoke up. "Mr. Whitaker, you've declined a plea deal, so here we are." He scanned the room, caught a glimpse of Clara, but didn't linger. He was used to family drama in his court, but he'd never seen a woman sit so still, so silent. The trial rolled on. Dry statements, evidence, the droning hum of the ceiling fan fighting the Georgia heat, lawyers talking like they were reading from script only they understood. Clara? She just sat there, not restless, not anxious, just waiting. When the security guard had asked who she was here for, she just said, "I'm here for him." And if you looked at her, you'd believe she meant it, even if nobody else did. Her hand brushed the inside of her Persia photo, old and worn. She didn't pull out, just made sure it was there, like you check your own heartbeat. Mason shifted in his chair, eyes flicking so fast you'd miss it toward the back. She didn't need his eyes to meet hers. She already knew he knew. The words in the courtroom started to fade into a blur for Clara, replaced by the smell of cinnamon and laundry soap in her old house on Magnolia Street. She'd taken in so many kids over the years, some angry, some scared, all broken in ways no social worker could ever really explain. Mason had shown up at 11, all sharp edges and silence, flinching at every noise, hoarding food like the world would turn on him any second. She never pushed, just made pancakes, folded his shirts, hummed little songs while she sewed his torn clothes. One night, thunder rattled the windows, and Mason slipped out of his room and curled up at her feet. She just draped a blanket over him and kept humming. That's when he was hers. Not on paper, not forever, but for real. He'd call her Ma. When nobody was listening, bring home spelling tests, draw her into every picture. On his 12th birthday, he gave her a card that read, "You didn't give me life, but you gave me one." She still remembered how that felt. And then gone. A custody battle, a paperwork screw-up, some distant cousin wanting a check. The agency said it was best. Clara fought letters, calls, anything, but nobody listens to quiet women like her. Mason vanished before Friday came. She never even got to say goodbye. Now, almost 20 years later, that same kid sat across the room grown, angry, tired, carrying every storm he'd ever known in his eyes. Clara was here for him, just like she'd always been, holding on to that photo like it was hope itself. The judge called for a recess. People stretched, lawyers huddled, the gallery murmured. Clara didn't move. Two women in beige coats gossiped in the aisle, their eyes cutting her way. "Probably just here to clean up," one whispered. Clara didn't react, heard that tone her whole life. Then a young attorney, white, polished, new to this mess, came over. "Are you lost?" she asked, her voice trying to be gentle. Clara looked up, met her eyes. "No," she said, calm as a sunrise. "I'm right where I need to be." The attorney blinked, a little thrown off, then wandered away. Mason, across the room, finally looked back. Just a flicker, just a second, but there it was. Recognition. The courtroom grew heavier as the sentencing phase started. Judge Rowe cleared his throat, addressed Mason. "Mr. Whitaker, you have the right to make a statement. Is there anything you'd like to say?" Mason sat still. His lawyer nudged him. Slowly he stood, looked down, then up. "I don't have much to say," he began, voice rough but real. "I've been angry a long time, at people who left or I thought left." He paused, breath trembling. "But when I was a kid, there was this woman. She made pancakes every Saturday, hummed while she did laundry, sat with me during storms. She called me baby, even when I didn't deserve it." He glanced back at Clara, voice breaking. "I didn't understand back then, but now I know she was home. She was safe. I don't have much family left, but if she'll still have me as her son, I need her now." You could hear the silence settle in. Even the judge looked stunned. Clara sat, her face composed, but her eyes shimmered years of hurt and hope fighting behind them. She didn't rush forward. She let it be his moment. The judge gathered himself, studied Clara. "Ms. Jenkins, you were the woman who got Lily to speak again," he said, and the room froze. "My niece," he explained, "wouldn't talk for almost a year after her mom passed. Then she came home humming a song you taught her, said she missed her mama. First words in months." His voice cracked just a little. Clara smiled, gentle. "I remember Lily. Pink stuffed elephant, wouldn't sleep without it." For a second, even the judge grinned. He called a recess, but the courtroom felt different now, less about judgment, more about what people carry, the things that get mended in silence. 15 minutes later, everything had changed. The judge's voice was softer, his words careful. "Mason Whitaker, you've made mistakes, but you've also shown courage in admitting what matters. That counts too. In light of this, I'm amending the sentence Sino incarceration. Instead, rehabilitation, community service, mentoring youth." Mason blinked, stunned. The judge turned to Clara. "Let the record show your presence, your love, has changed a life." The room stayed quiet, respectful. Justice had found a new face, one that looked a lot like Grace. When the doors opened, George's sunlight spilled in, warm and forgiving. Clara walked out first, Mason trailing behind. He hesitated, then called, "I didn't think you'd really be here." Clara turned, saw not the defendant, but the boy she'd once comforted through thunder. "I never stopped looking for you," she said. Mason swallowed hard. "I should have tried harder. I thought maybe you didn't want me back." Clara shook her head, handed him the old photo creased, faded proof of every silent battle she'd fought. "I fought," she whispered, "but the system doesn't always listen to women like me." They stood there, no words needed, the truth finally out where the world could see it. He asked, "How do we start fixing this?" Clara smiled. "You just did. You spoke." They didn't hug. Not yet. Some wounds need more time. But when Clara walked away, Mason walked beside her, no longer alone. 2 years later, at a foster care gala, Mason stood on stage, nervous but proud. "I'm not perfect," he told the crowd, "but I'm here because a woman made me believe I mattered. She's my mother." The room erupted in applause, but Clara just sat there, holding back tears, finally letting herself feel that what she'd done mattered. That night, home again, Clara took out the old photograph Mason at 11, arms crossed, her flour-dusted apron behind him, and placed it next to a new one. Mason groaned, arm around her shoulders, both of them standing on the courthouse steps. Legacy isn't always about names or records. Sometimes it's just a quiet love that refuses to fade, that waits and one day, finally, blooms. Now, tell Muas that justice, was that mercy, or was it just life finally getting something right for once? I'd love to hear where you stand. Drop your thoughts below about right and wrong, second chances, or what it means to really show up for someone when it matters most.